Hey friends, today for Heritage Studies, we're going to wrap up talking about our nation's capital, which is Washington, D.C. I'm going to show you a little map that shows all the landmarks that we talked about and how close they are together, and then we're going to read our poem that we read at the beginning of this unit, and then we're going to do something fun. So, let's get started. I forgot to open up my book. I opened up the science book by accident. Okay, so the poem is called Star City. I'm going to bring it over here, actually. All right, Star City by Eileen M. Berry. Capital city we mark with a star, place where our memories and monuments are. Bustling with tourists and traffic and trains, cherry trees blooming in parks and on lanes. City with heritage, city with heart, city where citizens all share a part. See all the flags, for our freedom they stand. God by his grace has protected our land. I really like that poem. I think it captures our nation's capital perfectly. I hope that one day you guys get to visit there, if that's something that you ever want to do, because it is certainly one of the most interesting places I've ever visited. So, here's a map, and the landmarks are numbered on here. So, and it can show you in perspective where everything is. So, starting with number 1, the Capitol building is what that's talking about, is over here, the number 1. You can tell by the dome at the top. And they actually call that Capitol Hill because it's up on a hill. It's like an incline, and it's kind of looking over all the other things. Number 2 is the White House. That is where the president and his family lives. And then number 3 you see is not very far away, the Washington Monument. Right? Stands tall, and it has the flags around the bottom. Number 4 is the World War II Memorial. And remember, we talked about how you can see the Washington Monument in the background of that. And then number 5 over here. That is the reflection pool. It's a big, long pool of water. You probably have seen it in some movies before. And then number 5 is Lincoln Memorial, and we talked about that yesterday. That's where the big statue of Abraham Lincoln is, and it has the columns, and it has a bunch of stairs that you walk up. Okay? So this compass can tell us what direction they are from each other. So we know that Capitol Hill is east of the Lincoln Memorial. And we know that the White House is north. It's up from the Washington Monument. Okay? So, with that being said, we are going to do something fun with our little postcard that I sent with you guys, so I want you to get that out. Okay, it has Bennett Spring on the front of it, and I think this would be really neat, because something that people do who travel often, and which that's not me usually. I mean, I've traveled to a lot of interesting places, but it's not all the time. But people who like to travel a lot like to keep a postcard from the place that they visited. So I should have done that when I went to Washington, D.C. In New York and all those places, got a postcard, and then they like to put them on their fridge just to show that they've been there and have that memory of that. Or another thing that you do with postcards, and the primary purpose of them, is to send them to somebody. So they have an image of the place that you visited, and then on the back side, it's like a little note that you can write to them, or, hey, I'm having so much fun here, wish you were here, things like that. So what we're going to do, I think this would be fun with how much time we're having to spend outside of school right now, and this could be kind of a memory for later on down the road when we're past this virus. And I think it would be fun if we use this Bennett Spring State Park postcard that I have and that each of you have, and we wrote to somebody on the back of it, because Bennett Spring is in Lebanon, where we are from. And even though we're not a big city like Washington, D.C., and the government doesn't, work here, things like that, we still have cool places like Bennett Springs State Park. People come from all over to come fish at that place and camp. It's actually very well known if you didn't know that. So, this is really neat. And I think we should send them to somebody that we're thinking of, somebody that we miss. Your parents can help you find addresses for that. But I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to show you how we need to fill these out. Okay, so on the front, everyone has the same one. It's Bennett Springs State Park. It's a really pretty picture there. I'm sure some of you have actually stood in this exact spot. There's a little, I think that is by this one of the springs. You can drive right past that. Okay, so flip it over. The first thing you always want to do on your card is, hopefully you can see that. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to address the card to whoever you're sending it to. So I used my mom and dad as an example. So I said, Mom and Dad. Or you can say, Dear Grandma, Dear Grandpa, Dear Aunt Shelley, or whoever you're going to send it to. Or it could be your parents if you want it to be. I just think it'd be very interesting to have this as a memory to talk about the things that you're doing here in Lebanon. Today I went and played outside my house, and this card is very fitting because this is in our very own town of Lebanon. Okay, so you'll have Dear so-and-so, whoever you're writing it to, okay? Below that, you need to write your message, and it's okay if your parents help you write it out and spell things. But I know that you guys always do a good job trying to spell things yourself, and I actually really enjoy when you guys do that because it shows me what you know, and even if it's spelled incorrectly, your thought process behind it. So I wrote, Hello, I'm having so much fun at Bennett Spring. Now this is just an example. I'm not actually at Bennett Spring right now or anything. I can't read backwards, guys. Okay. We are camping out in an RV. Each day we catch fish and hike trails. I even saw a snake. Yikes. And then at the bottom, after you write your message, you need to say love or your friend or your sincerely or any closing thing where you write your signature. So mine says love, Shelby. Okay? You could say your friend, so-and-so. And it could be about the things that you're doing. Now, I just made mine up because I said that I was actually at Bennett Spring. And you might have done that during this quarantine. You might have gone to Bennett Spring. My parents live just down the road, so I have gone there, but... All right. Then, on this side of it, there's a line that splits it. On this side, what I want you to do is write the date of today, which is April 15th, 2020. You should always put a date on any piece of mail that you send, any letter that you ever write, things like that. Okay? And then you need to put who you're sending it to. So I would send mine to Chad and Autumn Burrow, my parents. Okay? And then below that, you put that person's address. Now, your parents will have to help you do this. But you always put their address to their home, the city, the state, and then their zip code. And then the last thing you need to do is get a postage stamp and you put it in that little dotted square box there. It says your postage here. And then it can be sent in the mail. Some people might want to put these in an envelope if you don't want it to get tore up or anything. And then you'll need a postage stamp on the outside of that envelope too. But your parents can help you do that. I just thought this would be really neat. You can talk about things that you've been doing. I've been doing a scavenger hunt or I've been playing outside, and this will be something that someone always remembers because of the times that we're going through right now. And I thought that was very neat and had a lot to do with what we learned about all the landmarks that people go to, and then they send a postcard to others to show what they've done. So that's our Heritage Studies lesson for today. And we're going to get into Native Americans next week.